Right, Andrew, for the 12th time.
It's his blooming fault. That editor, CEO behind, thinks he's got power, doesn't he? You know what I mean?
Anyway, we had a quick chat, explaining
Come on, Jay. Explaining
fishery pellets. Because it's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? In that
it is.
Everywhere you go now, commercial world, nearly everywhere's fishery pellets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which, fair play. That's
Oh yeah, we'd do the same, wouldn't we?
Got to be done.
100%.
Got to be done. You know what's going in your lakes, and yeah.
You can control it,
Make some
definitely.
pennies. But anyway, fishery pellets and understanding them, identifying which are which. Because there's a big difference for me between the two types of pellet, or pretty much two types of pellets that are available, Coppens and Skrettings.
Yeah.
Very much they're suited to different things, aren't they, in the different forms. They do different things. In some ways, they're attractive to other fish than others in the different forms. I'm big on that. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Definitely.
Just getting the most out of your pellets and understanding what you can do with them instead of buying a bag of pellets from a fishery, trying to soak them. Maybe they're the wrong ones and end up wasting that bag. Or just use the wrong pellets.
That's key as well, Jay. It's knowing what are the right ones to sort of like that you can have a play with.
Of course there is.
You know what I mean? And then obviously the wrong ones.
Yeah, of course there is.
That's why you're there talking and I'm listening.
That's why we're going to, educational on that.
You
But anyway,
knows it.
First thing, obviously the easiest step in the world is when you go to a fishery and buy your pellets, say, what are these, mate? Yeah. That's how they're going to tell. It is honestly the easiest way, isn't it? Because batches can be a little bit tricky to identify sometimes, whether they're Coppens or Skrettings. Most of the time, just say, what are these, mate? Are they Skrettings? Are they Coppens? If you're not sure by looking at them. When you do look at them, though, they are quite...
You get used to them, don't you? When you're used, you do.
Look very, very easy. Micros can be a bit... They can be a bit tricky sometimes. They can look a bit similar, but 4s, 6s, 8s, really, really easy to identify just by looking at them. In that with the Coppens ones, you've got that lovely barrel-shaped, solid, a much more denser pellet.
Would you say like almost waxy?
A little bit, yeah.
Aren't they? Sort of like...
Yeah, they're not as porous. They're a solid barrel pellet in 4s, 6s and 8s. And micros, in fact. They're a perfect pellet, if you like.
Yeah.
But what you find with Coppens is they're no good when mixed with water. Very rarely. Yeah, very much. In a 4, you can dick them. I don't want to be, you can't do this with them. They're a pain in the arse to get right. Yeah, softening of Coppens pellets is really, really tricky. Yeah, if you want them to stick on a feeder, soften them for as micros, they're not as easy to do as Skrettings are.
I've learnt it to me cost quite a few times, you know what I mean? When you like go to soak them and you come back like, oh, it's like a soup.
Definitely. Super. They can be a pain. Don't get me wrong, you can use them for certain things. Of course you can. It's not just one way. But as a rule, to keep things nice and simple, all your Coppens type pellets, these hard cylindrical ones, both in the 4s and 6s there, really, really dense pellets. For me, they are for your hard pellet fishing.
Yes.
Yeah, anytime you're going to fish a hard pellet on the pole, bomb and pellet, fishing a waggler, when you want a solid pellet to be out there in the water, a Coppens is 100% of the time for me the one to be. As long as it's carpet F1s you're fishing for.
Yeah. And obviously from a feeding perspective as well, because they're a little bit denser, heavier.
They're better, aren't they? More accurate. Although I struggle feeding 6mm Coppens on a pole. Because they are really dense.
Yeah, you've got to fish 40 now. You can't fish 13 with them, can you?
No,
Coppens. As well just throwing them there. You've got to fish 40
They're tricky to do short. But yeah,
definitely.
Coppens pellets, keep them for that sort of thing. Your Skrettings pellets, however, are much more, your porous,
darker,
bit rougher, aren't they?
Yeah. Usually a little bit darker. You're saying like little black flecks in them. That's how I always describe them. You know what I mean?
They're just a bit rougher, aren't they? They're not as perfectly cylindrical or barrel shaped as a Coppens pellet is. Often a bit more
smaller and a bit lighter, aren't they?
A bit smaller size sort of thing. Just a bit. I wouldn't go with colour. I wouldn't look at colour as an indicator.
Right.
Because that deviates massively between batches.
Right.
With how much fish meal's available and all.
Yeah, man.
All sorts of variables come into that. But the way the pellets behave seems to stay quite similar, in that with a Skrettings pellet, they're the ones that you can soak.
Yes.
So I find that for all my micro pellets, I want to use a Skrettings pellet if possible, because they're your nice light soaky ones that don't go to mush.
Yeah.
They don't stick together like a glue. They're just nice. They soak, they behave themselves, they stay as individual pellets.
Genuine. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
You can do that with 4mm as well. Do you know what I mean? 4mm are the same. You can soak them. Add some water and they don't mush up together. They just stay nice. They're your soaking pellets at any time you want to use a Skrettings pellet, or if that's what the fishery pellets are, you know that you can do that with them.
Yeah.
So of course you can still use a Skrettings pellet as a hard pellet, but you have to know it's going to break down. It's going to go soft. It's not it's not as dense as a Coppens pellet's going to be. So it's going to be a bit moodier in the water. But you can use that to your
So
advantage.
like warmer water, they break down a lot quicker.
Yeah, you find that as well. But also, I use me Skrettings pellets in the bigger sizes in a 6 and an 8 mil if I can for me shallow fishing, because they are less dense.
A little bit slower.
Yeah, they go in nicer, but they make less noise.
Yeah.
As well, that's something worth talking about. Definitely.
Remember that time? Oh, it does me head in like this.
You can use the two as a
I
noise
remember
thing,
that.
can't you?
Yeah. It was. What was it? It was. We were on Panama. No, Bruce.
Panama.
Yeah, Panama, weren't we? Like 3 or 4 years ago. Drew next to each other, and we're both pinging pellets across to the reed.
Yeah.
This is how the carp were responding. It's like 3 or 4 foot deep. His was like, and mine were. Couldn't hear anything. I'm like, what is going on here?
And it was.
I didn't realise until after, and it was like massive for me in understanding. It was Coppens as opposed to Skretting.
Yeah, same size, wasn't it?
100%. Yeah, same size.
So you can use, I say, hard pellet fishing, Coppens are,
Yeah.
they're 100% of the time the ones, unless fishing shallow,
Which
just
is
for a
mad, the
slow fall.
difference. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a big thing, the difference of the fish you're going to catch. It's just a little thing to make your bait behave better for me.
And as you mentioned before, we got really interrupted by the CEO behind the camera. A lot of the fisheries now, they'll actually put them in a tub, Skrettings and Coppens, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But you need to ask, like you say.
Of course you do. If they only sell one type, ask them what they are, so
Yeah.
you know whether you can soak them or whether not to. But yeah, loads of fisheries that we can think of. Whether I mentioned Lindholme, Partridge.
Yeah, Aston Park.
They give you, Aston's good
Aston
on. They give you the option of both. You can have Coppens or Skrettings, so you can buy the exact pellets for what you want to do with them, whether you want to soak them.
Hayfield's another one as well.
Yeah, loads of fisheries do, because they understand what pellets do now. So it's worth paying a little bit more attention to your pellets, so you get the best out of them, so you're not wasting money.
Technical for us, that, wasn't it? Where's all the dicking about and everything?
We'll do that in the next one.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I like that, Jay. Go ahead.